going to be talking to John McTernan in just a couple of moments. He's a former advisor to Tony Blair when he was Prime Minister, about his latest plan, we understand from Keir Starmer, a Labour pledge to ban bosses from contacting staff after hours. This started in France and it's spread across a lot of Europe. Basically, you know, those are your working hours. You're not on email 24/7, you're not on phone 24/7, but also enshrining a right to work from home. Sam Armstrong is with me in the studio. I'm very sympathetic to the people who shouldn't be able to just constantly call people and bother people, and you need to be able to switch off psychologically, and I feel very strongly about that, and it's really important. But there's also an element where, you know, a message at 7 p.m. when you finish work at 6:30 over something important does matter. And this idea that this sort of total demarcation, does that really work in the 24/7 working international world that a lot of people work in now?
Look, I don't think so. And this country, more than anything else, has got a productivity problem. We're not making enough money per person, and this Labour plan is hardly going to make it better. But actually, I think the biggest problem with this is it shows that Keir Starmer is not up to it. Because, look, if you look back at Labour leaders, I mean, John McTernan here was in Downing Street at the time of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. I reckon, Julia, if you were to ask him, did Alistair Campbell, did Tony Blair, did Gordon Brown call you out of hours to get stuff done, to get on with it? Of course he did. And that was why it was a successful government, because sometimes you've got to work hard to deliver a result.
That said, I do think there's a massive issue in this country, and it's an Anglo-American thing, this presenteeism thing, that you're in the office, you're available, and yeah, I completely accept there are times when you say you're doing a particular kind of report that actually working from home if you've got somewhere quiet to work. And no, you can't look after a 3-year-old at the same time as doing that. You're sorry, you're either looking after a 3-year-old or you're working, one or the other. But I do think that there is this thing where, you know, this very Anglo thing that, you know, if you're there, if you're at the office and you're getting work done. I've worked in a lot of offices, certainly newspaper offices, where people are there all day, well, apart from when they're in the pub, and they work long hours. So they can go, oh, I work long hours, but they're not actually getting anything done. And I certainly once I had a little one, I had to go pick her up from nursery. You know, I made sure, every working mum I know, make sure they finish their work on time, because I'm working dads now too. They've got to get back, you know, to a child, and you actually, you know, you stick to those hours. Also, you know, I worked in Germany for a few months. Genuinely, at 5 o'clock, people literally, I mean, they literally just pick up their bags and pick up their coats and walk out. And if you work late, they think that you aren't very good at your job. Their view is that you must be inefficient because you haven't got your job done. Germany does not have a productivity problem.
Yeah, but there's a difference, though, between busy work and proper work.
Yeah. You've
got to be able to stay late, work hard, muck in when it counts, and not when it doesn't.
That's a good point. Well, look, let's talk to John McTernan. We finally got him on the line, former advisor to Tony Blair. Is this a good idea? Basically, no contact with your staff out of hours, John?
Yeah, I think work has invaded all parts of people's lives, and most people want to turn off when they leave work, and they want to come back to work in the morning. And I think it's absolutely right to actually put some restrictions on the way that mobile devices and laptops and the universal access to the internet allows people's work to creep into their family life. People should have time to devote to their families and their partners.
I'm all in favour of that, but it does depend on the kind of job, doesn't it? I mean, there's certain sort of high-flying jobs in the city or law or politics where, frankly, you know, if you want to do a 9 to 5, this isn't
most people don't. No,
that's my point. Most people don't. But is he coming from a perspective that actually Keir Starmer's never actually, you know, run a private business where someone might need to actually contact someone out of hours, and then he'd be legally not allowed to?
He's coming from the perspective of somebody who actually understands working people who struggle in their daily lives with the cost of living crisis, who struggle in their daily lives with
what's that got to do with?
Who struggle with precarious work, who struggle with all of the degradation of working conditions that has happened over the last 13 years with this government.
What's that got to do with someone calling you out of hours?
Time for more rights for workers, and I don't see why people object to workers having more rights for themselves, more rights to have privacy, and more rights to actually stop working when they leave the office, or when they leave the shop, or when they leave the garage, or when they leave the factory.
But they might mean leaving the toolmakers factory that Keir Starmer's father famously ran. Claims he was a toolmaker. But Sam Armstrong said,
he doesn't claim he was a toolmaker. His dad was a toolmaker.
Okay.
His dad was working class.
His dad wasn't working class, but anyway, it doesn't mean I don't care. I don't really care what his, but I just think it's just ridiculous. He pretends that he was the manager of the factory, for goodness' sake. Anyway, at some point, we've only got a minute. John, because you didn't wake up in time, we've only got another minute. So can I get to another question? We're talking about productivity. Is that going to improve productivity?
Yes.
You think
happier workers are more productive.
OK. What about the right to work from home? Are they more productive?
Yes, people who work from home are more productive.
Are they?
People should have the right to work because people should have the right to balance work and family life. People, all the surveys show that employers and employees are happier with flexible work.
No. Employers are increasingly making people come back to work.
Sorry?
Employers are increasingly now saying, come back to work, stop working from home.
Some employers with an overhang of office space want to cut the cost of their office space by making sure that people come in. But no, like most companies and most employers, most workers are happy with.
Okay, well, it's not very good for taxi drivers or people who work in sandwich bars or work in shops or work in restaurants or cleaners or, I mean, millions and millions of other jobs.
So many economic productivity eliminates jobs as well as it creates new jobs. We don't have road sweepers anymore. We only have a handful of people in dustbin.
I've got someone who cleans up.
Loads of jobs are automated.
There's definitely a bloke who I say hello to who sweeps my street.
There's no bus conductors. There's lots of changes in the workforce happen.
We'll have to leave it there. John, we'll have to leave it there. We're out of time.